Good evening and welcome to the 2024 mock draft here on Halftime on the Hudson. I'm Sam Murphy and I'm joined by Dr. Zach Arth, an assistant professor of sports communication here at Marist College. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tonight, you will be serving as our commissioner for the draft. How are you feeling?
I feel alive. I feel ready for the responsibility. I'm not going to say it's the best day of my life, but it might be.
What are you most looking forward to about tonight's proceedings?
I think more than anything, seeing something like this all come together is a beautiful thing. And you got to think, there's a lot of fine young men out there whose lives are going to change tonight, and that's always an exciting night.
So you are a very strategic person, very analytical. If you were to be one of the people who are doing the drafting tonight, what strategy might you use?
It's hard to say. I think early in the draft, you want to be looking for the best player who also fits your needs as a team, I think later in the first round, when maybe some of the big picks are off the board, you want to lean maybe more towards the best athlete available. Football is very much an athletic-based game, so I think I'd probably go that way.
As the commissioner, you do hold a lot of power. How will you be getting involved in tonight's proceedings? Are we going to see any rigging, any helping?
Everyone has a price. If somebody wants to pay, I'll do whatever I can to help. But really, I'm going to leave the selections to the experts. I'm just a minor figure in tonight's events.
So as I mentioned, you are a very analytical person. You teach a sports analytics class. Are there any particular stats that you look at to show a progression from college players to NFL players?
Again, it's all very position dependent. I think this is something I've been interested in for years. How do you take a player from some very mid college who then ends up being a superstar in the NFL? How do we even see that happen? I think football especially, you have this mix of stats, intangibles, and then what the eye test tells you, so it's really hard to say if there's one thing in particular, and it does kind of depend on the position you play.
For you, are there any players that have stuck out to you as you've looked through the potential picks for tonight?
I have a tip from somebody, maybe an expert, if you will, who made some comments about Jaden Daniels, and essentially, maybe he's not quite as good as maybe everyone says he is, but I guess we'll see what happens in the draft.
We will have to see if your source is correct.
We will.
So the literal elephant in the room is that you are a devout fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Roll Tide.
As we expected. They had, by many accounts, a surprisingly successful season. Are there any Alabama players you're looking to see where they end up tonight?
It was not surprisingly successful. They're great. Thank you very much. I think the one you got to root for, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Come on. A name like that. The hard part about him is that he is injured right now. He's kind of been going through it a little bit. Doesn't mean he's not a first-round pick, and doesn't mean he's not valuable for brand building. His name is Kool-Aid. Come
on. Definitely a good name.
Thank you.
If you were to be drafting tonight, would you want to be, up there, top one or two picks, or would you want to be somewhere in the middle, see where things fall?
I feel like if you can have the first pick, you might as well. But it is hard, right? Because if you have the first pick, that means your team is awfully deficient and you have a lot of work to do. Even if you're in the middle, that actually might be the sweet spot, maybe being towards the middle of the draft, just because at least there's more pieces in place for your team to be successful, in theory anyways.
Okay. Looking at some of these teams, which ones do you think have the most need tonight? Who do you think really needs to get a good pick?
I think you can tell the team that has the most need if you look at Chicago. They have 2 picks of the first 8, I believe. So that tells you that this team is clearly in dire need for something good to happen. They need something positive in their life.
This, I think, by many accounts, is a QB-heavy draft. There are a lot of high-quality QBs, especially expected to go high. Do you think we're going to see that play out tonight?
More than likely. The thing about the NFL is that it is, whether we like it or not, it's a QB-driven league. QBs are kind of the ones who get the most attention, whether they should or not. They just have more sex appeal than most other players do, I suppose. So, yeah, I have a feeling that we're probably going to see a lot of quarterbacks. It just feels like it always works that way.
We appreciate your always witty and true analysis.
I do what I can.
You are also, of course, known as a tortured Buffalo Bills fan. What do you want to see from those Bills tonight?
All right. Well, I am tortured, I suppose. The Bills, as far as I can tell, we all know what happened this offseason. They could really use a wide receiver in a bad way, it seems. But I will say, they still feel like they're right there to me. Like, they're not far off. I still think they're going to be a top team in the league because they do have Josh Allen. But I do think wide receiver-wise, and then it just feels like defense, they need some help there as well.
Right. Is Josh Allen still the chosen one?
For life.
We'll kind of do a little bit of a Bills conversation here. Will Allen ever be able to take down Burrow or Mahomes in the playoffs?
I mean, yes. I mean, he's already been so close. He's already done so well. If you look even at last year's game in the playoffs, it wasn't Josh Allen's poor performance that cost them anything. So I say yes. Josh Allen is just fine.
Okay. And starting to wrap up here, what was your biggest takeaway from the NFL season this past year?
Obviously, the biggest takeaway has to be the power of Taylor Swift. If you don't think it is, you're just missing out. I mean, whether we like it or not as football fans, she's changing the world. And we just have to go along for the ride. So we'll see if there's a breakup before next season. But I mean, not to say I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed, but I do love a little devastation every now and then.
What do you think about a potential Chiefs three-peat?
No, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Chiefs are getting to a point where they have proven a little bit to be beatable. I think they have a chance to be beaten. It's just now you're beating more of like an aura than you are even beating a team. So, but I think they can.
Do you think they will still be one of the best dynasties? Do you think they're up there with the Brady teams?
They are getting there. So it does seem like, yeah, it kind of seems like they're getting to that point. But I mean, you have to understand what I grew up in. Brady was just dominating everybody for so many years.
Gotcha. Will Aaron Rodgers be any good?
Absolutely not. The man is about 500 years old and feeble. So he played about 4 plays last year. Yeah. Good luck to the Jets.
Okay. Thank you for joining us here from Zach Arth and Sam Murphy. We are going to head to break and we will be back with you shortly.
MCTV is Marist College Television. It's our on-campus television club where we produce 4 shows, including Studio A, our variety comedy show, Quiz Show, which is our game show,
our new live news, along with Halftime on the Hudson. Enjoy the draft.
The Marist Red Fox Report, a Marist centralized sports center type show, is a proud affiliate of the 2024 Halftime on the Hudson mock draft.
The Media Center provides Marist students with the skills and technology that they need to complete projects. And the Media Center is a proud sponsor of Halftime on the Hudson's 2024 mock draft for the NFL.
Interested in reading more about Marist athletics? For comprehensive daily coverage of Marist's Division I sports teams, visit centerfieldmarist.com. Centerfield is a student-run sports publication housed within Marist's Center for Sports Communication. Support student journalism by reading our gamer articles, feature pieces, and investigative works, and visit us on social media at CF Marist.
Tonight's mock draft is presented by the Student Section Podcast, a podcast for Marist guests and a lot more. Back to you guys.
It's draft day.
Gene, where are you? It's draft day.
All right. Come on, man. One more. Come on. Push it. Good work. Where are you going?
Dude, it's draft day.
Oh, crap.
Gene!
We gotta go. Go.
Ball game over. The Red Foxes win 4-1 in a big game for the Red Foxes. We gotta go.
Who the hell is this guy? Ski season's over. It's draft day.
I'm sorry, man. I just got off the hill.
Come on, let's go. Sam, it's draft day. We gotta go. Lonely time.
To the 2024 Halftime on the Hudson NFL Mock Draft. It is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce to you some of our fine talent this evening. And also, I'd like to thank the Poughkeepsie Bowling League for ending 1 week early so I could be here this evening. Introducing first, a friend to all of us and maybe the undisputed king of fake news, and that would be Jimmy Chantulis.
Seems there's a little bit of feedback here, but welcome everybody. Commissioner Arth, thank you for having me here.
Oh, please. Thank you for having me. And good. I don't know if you heard that sound, but I don't think there's anything to worry about.
No, not at all. I think we're in good standing here. I think everything's going to be all right.
Speaking of good standing, it is again my distinct honor to introduce to you our next analyst. Maybe short in stature, but he is big in heart, and that is Derek DeGallo.
Welcome.
Thanks, good friend.
All right, Derek, any words? Anything to say?
Let's get this party started, baby.
All right, sounds good. Introducing next, I believe fresh off the ski slopes in Vermont. I think I passed him on my way back from there a couple weeks back. That would be the one and only Nick Vete. Nick, good to see you.
Zach, I appreciate the introduction. But,
hey,
I mean, we're not done with ski season yet. I mean,
that's
we got
true.
Mountain staying open until June sometime.
That's true.
Let's get a mock draft in and we'll head right back out there.
All right, good. I'll see you out there.
All right.
All right. And finally, last but not least, joining us this evening, that would be, again, the one and only Sam McNamara.
Zach, it's a pleasure to be here. First ever mock draft, won't be my last. And I'm not excited to see the Giants pick.
It hasn't even started yet. I can't believe you're so distraught so soon.
Gentlemen, let's have a night. This is fantastic. Let's have a night, gentlemen. Let's get after it. Let's get active.
Let's do this, Jimmy.
As my good friend Zach Musso would say, let's have a night.
Let's have a night.
Let's have a night.
We can only hope that Zach Musso is watching somewhere.
Oh, I do hope.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope.
With that being said, as your commissioner, I'm just going to throw it over to all of you. Where do we go from here? What's next, Jimmy?
You know, I think I think we should get started with the draft.
Does that tell me there's a certain team on the clock?
I believe there is.
Outstanding.
He looks a little too short for this chair. Can we get a registered tall person to help him out with that? Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
The sound?
No, not at all.
No, I think the sound sounds nice.
Yeah.
I will say, for as much as Derek may be too short for the chair, I think I'm too tall for the podium. I feel like I'm really kind of bending over here. Oh, I'm sorry. The first pick is in, and that would be from the Chicago Bears, selecting number 1 overall, Caleb Williams, quarterback, University of South Carolina.
Yeah, you look at this guy. This is a surefire number 1 pick. All the experts in the mock draft are talking about this guy. He has the ability to run and create plays. As you look at this tape, just creating, extending the play, getting to the end zone. I mean, this is a guy who everyone's talking about being a bona fide superstar. You obviously trade Justin Fields. You got to get your quarterback. That's exactly what the Bears do with Caleb Williams for the first overall pick in this mock draft. And I'm super excited to get this party rolling, baby.
You know, Derek, I don't think that there's much surprise with that pick. I think we kind of knew what was coming there. And I mean, it's like everything you hear all the experts talk about, everything you watch on the field tells you, yeah, obviously this guy was going to be the first overall pick. The question for a while was, is it going to be the Bears or is someone going to trade for that pick and the Bears are going to roll? They ended up rolling with Caleb Williams. Now the question is just how high is that ceiling going to be and how long is it going to take for us to really see him kind of reach the true potential and, start to win some games with a Bears team that's got some decent talent still on it, even though they were picking first overall.
Yeah, Vete, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like there were a couple of people out there in the media that were a little bit worried about his character issues, but all that is just him painting his nails and having a pink phone case. I think that this is a guy you just can't miss on in this draft. This has been one of the better quarterback prospects we have seen in a very long time. I feel like the Chicago Bears are going to get their guy for the potential, 10, 15 years.
I mean, I think that's definitely what you're hoping for anytime you not only take a quarterback in the first round, but especially when you're taking him first overall. I think the question kind of becomes, what is his ceiling? Is it the Patrick Mahomes that people talk about, or is it going to be maybe something a little bit less than that compared to the, arguably best quarterback of our generation that we're living through right now? Because that's the comparison he gets.
Yeah, I was on the phone with that pick, tried to see if anybody wanted to trade up. Nobody wanted to trade up. So, I had to also make a phone call to Caleb Williams to say, welcome to the squad, because at the end of the day, it's all about these young men getting a chance to be professionals. And why don't we like to see that? It's beautiful. Before
we go on, can I say something? I think it's kind of funny with all of Derek's Fruit 2.0 right in front of his computers. I mean, does he have a sponsorship with Fruit 2.0?
Why is there already? Yeah, he's got an NIL deal with Fruit 2.0. Yeah.
Why are they both half drinking too?
He's got to switch up the flavors.
He's also missing one. He had a third early.
I had a third. I'll be done with all 3 by the time we get to pick 20 probably.
Okay. Over under on what pick Derek's going to finish all his Fruit 2.0. That might be the question. Over under 17 and a half picks. Derek finishes his Fruit 2.0.
I'm slamming.
Start making bets in the chat.
I'm slamming the under.
I'm pretty envious of Derek's Fruit 2.0 because there is a Mountain Dew out there with my name on it, and I left it in the other room. But it's okay. Gentlemen, our second pick is in. With the second pick in the 2024 mock draft presented by Halftime on the Hudson, the Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback from some school called LSU.
All right, so Jaden Daniels, it has been very highly debated whether he would go number 2 or number 3. Everybody knew he was going to be one of the first few picks taken off the board. Jaden Daniels, you see the athleticism coming off a Heisman Trophy win. I mean, you can argue Drake may be the better quarterback, but you're taking the athlete in Jaden Daniels here. I mean, you see these clips. Not a lot of quarterbacks can make those throws. And with Washington, they did sign Marcus Mariota, who maybe hasn't had the best NFL career, but he has also won a Heisman. He has been a very, very good mobile quarterback and was great in college, and he could teach him how to be a good NFL quarterback. He can show him the ropes in Washington this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with going with Daniels over May is you saw it with the Commanders. They had Sam Howell, a guy who's similar built to Drake May. You kind of want to switch it up. Go with a guy in Jaden Daniels, and everyone's talking about this guy possibly being the next Joe Burrow. I don't necessarily see that because of the age, but I like the pick because of you need a mobile guy. Drake May is mobile, but he's more of a pocket passer than a dual threat guy. That's why you go Jaden Daniels, and that's a great start to what we're expecting because you're going to see guys, quarterbacks, go early, and that's what we have right now. First 2 picks, both quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think when we just talk about the question of who are the Commanders taking here, I mean, it's a completely new regime. And I think a big say in that is going to be, honestly, the offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, which quarterback he feels he can develop and have success with. Because really, it's going to be more on him. Obviously, Dan Quinn, known more as a defensive-minded head coach. So I think a lot of the question is going to be which one do they feel fits their scheme that they're just now, implementing as a new regime in Washington.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I feel like Jaden Daniels was definitely a guy that you just could not miss in this draft. What he was able to do in LSU last season was just unbelievable. Heisman season. I mean, sure, you could have made the claim for Drake May as well, but I feel like that you were in a very good spot with that number 2 overall pick, taking 2 very high-level quarterbacks and picking which one you thought it was the best. So I feel like that Jaden Daniels is definitely going to fit out with this Washington Commanders offense. I feel like that him and Terry are going to be a deadly duo together.
Oh, 100%. And again, the athlete that is Jaden Daniels is higher than Drake May.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. You can go on and on about going Jaden Daniels, going Drake May. Do they not go quarterback? Do they try to trade down? They're obviously going to try to do something, and quarterback is going to be what they do. Just Sam Howell gets traded to the Seahawks. Now you're kind of looking at a situation of like, you need that guy. You find that guy, and we'll see what the Pats have coming up.
You said the Pats, Derek?
Said the Pats.
Well, pick number 3 is in. What I'm hearing something. There's something. Am I hearing that there's a Dan Albach appearance? I mean,
Dan Albach sighting?
If so, please bring it on because that man is overseas.
All the way from Italy.
What up, what up? How we do? Resident New Englander in the room. Bada boom. Here to tell you about the number 3 pick is Danny Aback. How we doing? Now, my New England Patriots, they need everything. They literally need everything, but what do you need most? You need a quarterback. And you got to go with either Jaden Daniels or Drake May at this pick. Now, Jaden Daniels, obviously, you'd love to have him here, but he's probably going to go to the Commanders. I'll talk about him anyway. Heisman winner last year were LSU, transferred over from ASU. He's that dream dual threat quarterback. Speedy athlete, great decision maker, but he lacks zip on those deep throws. He needs a good offensive line to thrive. Do the Patriots have that? No. Drake May, bulky athlete, monster arm talent. He's a great in-pocket passer, ACC Player of the Year 2022, but 2023 was a little inconsistent, has an inefficient throwing motion, kind of leads to some questionable passes, a lot of interceptions. You don't want that in the bigs. Obviously, the Patriots could use a really good, talented, athletic quarterback. Drake May is probably going to fall here. However, there are some other quarterbacks in this draft, J.J. McCarthy, that rumored to go up. I really hope that doesn't happen. However, Drake May is probably the most likely, and that's all I got to say. I got to get out of here. They don't got iced coffee here. I need my Dunkin'. I'm going to go find some espresso and throw some ice in it or something else. I don't know. But enjoy the rest of this draft. And signing off from Italy, Danny Aback. See ya. Go Patriots. Go Patriots.
I know that man personally. He doesn't sound like that.
No, that was a pretty fake Boston accent, if I do say so myself.
That was for show.
Yeah, I got to tell you. I mean, maybe it was after last year.
He's trying too hard.
It was after last year when I think myself and old Scheme Gene back there beat him at the bowling alley that he's never been the same. But I will say he's right about one thing. So the number 3 overall pick, the New England Patriots select Drake May, quarterback, University of North Carolina.
Yeah, I feel like that this was a guy that the Patriots could not miss on. We swung and missed with Mac Jones. I thought that there was a lot going. I thought there was a lot going for him. I thought that he could definitely pan out, but that didn't happen. Bringing in Drake May, the size, the arm, the talent. I understand that the Patriots may not have a great offensive scheme right now, but you have to start somewhere, and starting out at quarterback, starting out at a young, very promising quarterback is what we need to do right now. Look at his arm talent. That is on a line right up the middle of the field. You know who doesn't throw in the middle of the field? Jaden Daniels. We need guys who can step up in the pocket, deliver a rocket to his receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I'll I think the fact that it's like Drake May there, I think the question just becomes, we're starting to hear that the Patriots may be looking for offers. The Patriots have said that they're taking a quarterback in this draft. The question is, who do they really want? Now, Jimmy, I know I had a conversation with you that you're just kind of ready for a quarterback in New England. My only thing with Drake May is it feels like it's going to be a project, and we don't really know how the new coaching staff is going to do with developing a quarterback. There's going to be some time that's going to take to develop him. How do you feel about kind of that process? Because it's not going to be someone who's ready to go right away, maybe start week one.
No, I mean, you raise a lot of good points. I'm not going to disagree with you. He's definitely going to be a project type of guy. But at the same time, the Patriots really, I feel like, aren't that ready for contention for a very long time. Not for a very long time, but for a decent amount of time. Their defense is still stalwart. Their defense is easily one of the best in the league. But again, that offense has been a hindrance ever since Bill Belichick did that whole, offensive coordinator flipping up and down. This is the first time that we've had a brand new coaching staff under Gerard Mayo. We have a new OC, new DC. Like, it's just, I feel like that this team is just meant to start over, and bringing in a guy like him, sure, you may not be in playoff contention or title contention for a couple of years, but that's okay because that's going to work out within his frame of reference, building up his talent, building up his NFL presence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to come down to the development time and, can the new Patriot staff in place do that? But certainly a guy that I expect to go early here, and in our mock draft is to the Patriots.
Yeah, I think the biggest question with the Patriots is, yes, you need a quarterback. If you don't love any of these guys, Marvin Harrison is right there. You have Jacoby Brissett, just in case you can't find a quarterback. Why not ride with Brissett and go with Harrison Jr.? That's a question mark that they have to decide. But, I mean, it's when you have quarterbacks going off the board and you want a quarterback, you're obviously going to go with the quarterback. But my question for you, Jimmy, being the Patriots general manager, why May over Harrison Jr.?
No, I mean, again, you bring up a great point. I mean, like, the Patriots also haven't had a star-studded wide receiver in a very long time. The last time we had one was Randy Moss. So, I mean, I understand why bringing in Marvin Harrison could be much more beneficial to this offense. I do like Jacoby Brissett. I feel like he's been a proven veteran. He's been around the block for a little while. He understands the game. He's been around with the Patriots before. But I just feel like having that young quarterback to really, start over, build up this new coaching regime, I feel like that quarterback is just that position that needs to be the case. It's just bringing in a guy like May is just going to revitalize this team. It's going to bring more engagement back into the fan base, and it's going to sell more tickets because we have a new guy as the signal caller. 100%. I feel like that just bringing in that guy is going to be much more beneficial than bringing in a receiver.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's the question that the Patriots have to make up. Do they love May? Do they love Harrison? What happens with the first two picks? But at the end of the day, it just makes too much sense that we're seeing three quarterbacks go off the board right away. I mean, we'll see what happens the rest of the draft, but it looks like it's going to be quarterback heavy today.
It could be. However, the Arizona Cardinals, their pick is in. As I mourn the end of the Mac Jones era in New England, he really tried his best. With that being said, with the number 4 pick in the 2024 draft, the Arizona Cardinals select wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State.
And here we go. Just when we're talking about the quarterbacks going, you knew it was coming eventually. It was going to be one of these star-studded wide receivers sooner or later. A draft class that's so top-heavy in wide receivers this year. And not only might Marvin Harrison be the best wide receiver of the bunch, but he may, according to some experts, he may be the best player, period, in the entire draft class. So an Arizona Cardinals team that is hungry for wide receivers, that is rolling with Kyler Murray for all intents and purposes. They go out and get him a number 1 target as they've kind of gotten a little thin in the wide receiver department. They go out and get Harrison, who's just about as explosive as they come at the position, and they're going to hope that he forms a tandem with Kyler Murray for years to come.
Bringing in this guy is going to make the Cardinals offense so much more electric again. We saw how electric could be with Kyler and D-Hop before Kyler went down and D-Hop, kind of declined. But bringing in a guy like Marvin Harrison, absolute stud. Kyler is going to have a field day throwing to this kid. He's been an absolute beast at Ohio State. I feel like that a lot of teams could really use a guy like him, and the Cardinals happen to be at the right position to take him. That's you wouldn't ask for anything better.
The board falls perfectly. I want to pose a quick question to you guys. Do we feel in this room, I mean, we got 3 wide receivers that have been talked about as being, all 3 potentially top 10. Do we feel that Harrison is far and away better than Malik Neighbors or Ruma Jones?
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah. I feel like that it's an S tier with Harrison, and then it's a 1A, 1B type of guy or type of tier with Malik and Rome Odunze. Okay. I just feel like that Harrison is just so much more far and away the better receiver out of the three of them.
Yeah. Some people have Neighbors over Harrison Jr., which I can understand why. I personally don't like it, but to ask the question, at 4, you see 3 quarterbacks go early. J.J. McCarthy's rolling. Who knows if he's going to go that high? Did you think about trading down, or was it, hey, Harrison's on the board, let's go get him?
I was kind of rolling, and honestly, the way that we have this set up, I don't think I would have had time to orchestrate a trade. So I rolled with Harrison. He's the guy for the Cardinals.
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational type wide receiver prospect, one that does not come around very, very often. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, they would be wide receiver ones in any other draft class. But this one, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just that good, and on tape, he is one of the best wide receivers I have ever seen play college football.
I will say, we are reaching this point. Our next pick may be in. However, we're going to have to wait to find out because we're going to go to a little break, and we'll be back after this, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Welcome to the main event of the 2024 Halftime on the Hudson NFL Mock Draft. It's commercial break with yours truly, Zach Musso. There can't be a Halftime on the Hudson Mock Draft without Zach Musso. And so I'm here to provide you with some entertainment while the fellas go to the bathroom. We don't want to know what's happening in there. While the fellas get some snacks. I know Derek, he's tiny in size, so that voice is probably using a lot of oxygen, so he needs a little break. But let's get back to football. That's what we're here to talk about. We don't got to talk about New York Mets who are cooking. We don't got to talk about my New York Giants. But yeah, actually, we do have to talk about New York Giants. Picking 6 in this year's draft, a lot of ways they could go. Need a quarterback, need a wide receiver, need a quarterback, need a running back, need everything that's not defensive line. Now, one thing we cannot do is draft more offensive linemen this year. It's too soon with these other young linemen. 5 top 100 picks in the last 3 years spent on linemen. Let's let those guys develop. Let's give them some time. Now, Daniel Jones, he's done. I've been the biggest Daniel Jones defender, but he can't stay healthy when he's on the field. Just doesn't produce. His best season in terms of wins was 15 touchdown passes. That can't stand. That's less than 1 per game. Come on. I know you can do that math, Jimmy. I know. Tough math. All right. Back to the New York Giants. If they're going to draft a quarterback, Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the draft. Obviously, he's going number 1 overall to Chicago, and he's set up well there because Chicago has some dogs on that offense now. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Maybe they could draft Rome Odunze 9th overall, but the Giants, my QB2 is, this is my African drum I just bought this weekend in Animal Kingdom. Beautiful place in Florida. JJ McCarthy. That's right. Everyone stopped slamming JJ because he went 29-1 in college. One is winning bad. He played on a great team. They didn't ask him to do everything because he didn't have to do everything. Just because they didn't ask him to do something doesn't mean he can't do it. They just wanted to win football games. That's what we're all after. Championships, winning mentality. He is a winner. He can handle New York well. He meditates before the game. He doesn't let outside noise affect him. Now, everyone talks about how much talent he played with. You're right. His offensive line was great. Wide receivers, Roman Wilson, he'll be a draft pick this year, probably 2nd or 3rd round. That's not a first-round superstar talent. Running back had Blake Corum. Yeah, he's a stud. He's a stud. Playing with other good players is not a bad thing. J.J. McCarthy had the 3rd best QBR in the country last year. Guess what? J.J. McCarthy stomped Ohio State and C.J. Stroud the season prior. Beat him again. J.J. McCarthy is just that dude. People need to embrace it. He might be the most accurate quarterback in this draft class. Whoever drafts him, it should not be disappointed. J.J. McCarthy and Daniel Jones should draw no comparison. They are nothing alike, but you know who is like Daniel Jones? Drake May. I am not on the Drake May bandwagon. He was great in 2022, but in 2023, he was worse than the year before. You can't be a top 5 pick if you can't beat Georgia Tech. Drake May, no. I'm sorry. He's not Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football. Let's put that out there. He's the best player in the NFL. Drake May is nothing like Josh Allen. Yes, I said Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL. Drake May, you gotta take an upward rise like Jaden Daniels did to climb up here. Now, We're going to run out of time soon, so let's hit on some other things. There's a potential that 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. I'd have 5 in the first round. Bo Nix, you're not a first-round pick. Michael Penix, you are a first-round pick. I know the injury history, but the way that dude can sling the football is dynamic. This wide receiver class is loaded. 3 wide receivers right off the bat. Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Romo Dunze. Any of them could come to Big Blue. All who could be wide receiver number 1 in any other draft class. Yeah, that's right. This wide receiver class is stacked. There's a deep offensive line class. Once we get into the 10 to 20s range, we could see them start to fly off the board. This is going to be a fun draft, fellas. Now, let's give some shout-outs backstage. Dorito, running some production this time. Big fan of my guy, Mr. Dorito. I'm sorry about the Lakers. It's over. Move on. I know you love the NBA. Your season's over. Now, Jimmy, welcome to draft night, buddy. This is what it's like when your team is picking in the top 5, you spoiled guy. You're not used to this? Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Your team will be here a lot in the future. And Derek, mi amigo, I know you've said 7,000 stupid things already. That's all right. I will make fun of you for every single one of those 7,000 things. I hope they haven't made too many short jokes. I know you love being short, so I'll keep this short. You see what I did there? Enjoy the night, buddy. All of you enjoy the night. Derek, you'll see me soon. I know you love that. Go watch New Girl after this. I know you love some New Girl. All right, fellas, let's me toss it back to y'all. Enjoy the rest of the evening. And let's have a night. Let's have a weekend. Christmas, Thanksgiving, NFL draft, 3 best holidays. Let's freaking go.
Second.
We're back. And quick shout out to the back room. Thanks for bringing me the Mountain Dew. A little product placement. You could tell I lived in the South for a few years. Anyways, I did say that the 5th pick was in before we left for break. So with the 5th pick in the 2024 mock draft, we have the Los Angeles Chargers selecting wide receiver Malik Neighbors from Louisiana State University.
So the reason for Malik Neighbors going here, it's looking to the Chargers are looking to trade down, but no offers. And the Chargers were in a position where we could take best player available. Malik Neighbors is the best player available. We have Justin Herbert, who is arguably a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he needs weapons. Quentin Johnston, he struggled his rookie year. Joshua Palmer, he is a good wide receiver, but he cannot be your number 1. Malik Neighbors is also a potential, generational receiver. He is so athletic, so good at that wide receiver position. Justin Herbert needs his number 1 guy after losing both of his guys. Malik Neighbors is a perfect fit here.
Sam, I felt like that was a slam dunk pick. I feel like that Justin Herbert has been done so dirty in LA. So going out and getting a guy like Neighbors, who I think is one of the best catchers in this entire draft, I thought that his ability to get to grab the ball at the catch point is so unreal. He has such strong hands. He's so physical. What he was able to do with Jaden Daniels at LSU was just unreal. So having a guy with a rocket arm like Justin Herbert who could stand in the pocket and deliver those missiles, I think that's a match made in heaven for them.
Maybe this is just the way that I think, because I've always been big on build through the trenches and then go from there. My only question is it's like you have multiple tackle options on the board. This is a team that's definitely needy of a tackle, opposite Rashawn Slater, who's on the left side. I'm not saying anything different about Malik Neighbors. I think that, whatever team he goes to, he'll fit, he'll make it work, and he'll be, a very, potentially as good as a generational talent there. My only thing is it's like you've got tackles there, and maybe the best option is to protect Justin Herbert. In that spot, you can get wide receivers later in the draft. I feel like it's easier to find a wide receiver in a mid round than it is to find a stud offensive tackle in a mid round.
That is true, but Trey Pipkins, he's the right tackle for the Chargers. He has done a fine job stepping into that role. Not the best, but he has been serviceable, and I would have taken a tackle if the Chargers didn't lose Keenan Allen, if they didn't lose Mike Williams. Those are 2 huge holes that the Chargers need to fill, and Malik Neighbors is a perfect guy to fill that hole for them.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that it's a hole. I just, again, I think it's just philosophy and kind of how I would go about thinking about it, because there are names like Joe Alt. There are names like, JC Latham that are still out there. So it's not that I'm necessarily saying, that I don't see the fit, but again, it's just thinking of like how it's potentially built. But again, I think, if Justin Herbert's getting another weapon, he's certainly not going to complain about it.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, but honestly, Vates, I can understand where your thought process is here too, because this entire time before the draft even started, I was very much very high on a lot of these offensive tackle prospects. I've very much been, I'm a offensive lineman first type of guy. I love me some hog mollies, as me and some would say. But again, I feel like that just pairing Justin Herbert up with such a stud wide receiver. I understand that maybe he could be under duress a little bit, but being able to have a guy who can separate, who can, jump up at the catch point and just come down in traffic. I just feel like that's going to be able to, really transform this Chargers offense, and maybe they can build later on. Maybe they can take a couple of guys, later in the draft that are still, available.
Did you say hog mollies?
Oh, I did say hog mollies.
I've never heard that in my life.
Me and Musso, we're big hog molly guys.
Well, we just heard quite the diatribe from Musso, and I think you all learned not to trust him at all. But I will say we have some big news, gentlemen. There's been a trade with the number 6 pick. So now we have the New York Giants trading the number 6 pick to Minnesota, and the Giants will receive the 11th pick, the 23rd pick in this draft, and then next year's first round pick. So, gentlemen, what do we think about this? Big news.
First of all, I did this number 1 because I look at this board. I see quarterback. I don't want quarterback. I don't like the quarterbacks in this year's class. I see teams trying to get that 4th quarterback. So I made a couple calls and, made a trade. And the biggest thing is I wanted first round picks for next year. I wanted to go back just a little bit because there's a bunch of guys that I think could be falling into my lap later on, and get the guy that I normally would have taken at 6 at the 11 spot. And you add a first round this year and next year, you're talking about 3 first round picks for just going back 5 spots. I love it as a Giants fan. That is absolutely perfect for what I want, because who doesn't love first round picks?
No, I mean, me and Derek, we talked on the phone. I feel like that the Vikings are very much in the need of, certain positions. I won't disclose until the pick is made. But the Vikings, I feel like that they had a feeling that, one of the players that they really wanted was going to be taken earlier than they had thought. So they wanted to, jump up in front of another team and, grab that guy, make a couple of their other guys happy. So with this, I believe the pick is in, so I will hand this off to the commissioner.
Thank you. Quick update. I heard from the back. Can someone please get Scheme Gene a Mountain Dew as well? Okay, never mind. All right, so we do have the number 6 overall pick in. It is the Minnesota Vikings picking quarterback J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. I guess that's a school.
Yeah, and like I was alluding to, the Vikings were very much in need of a quarterback, losing Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons. They needed to go out and they needed to get someone who was going to be able to deliver some balls to Justin Jefferson. They want to make him happy so they don't have to go off and trade him to another team. They want to go out and get a champion like J.J. McCarthy who could stand up in the pocket. Maybe his arm could be a little suspect, but again, his sideline ball placement has been fantastic in some of these clips. I mean, he's been able to rip it on a line. He does have very good accuracy as well, and he just has the prototypical quarterback build that can really help this Vikings offense excel.
Yeah, I mean, I'll comment on JJ McCarthy. I think that with what the Vikings are kind of looking for in replacing Kirk Cousins, I think you see a lot of similarities to just the game of Kirk Cousins and JJ McCarthy, that with what the Vikings kind of already have on offense, they have a solid offensive line. They obviously have Justin Jefferson. They just brought over Aaron Jones, the running back. So, they have weapons, they have pieces. And it's like, if you can just get solid quarterback play and, develop JJ McCarthy, find what his ceiling is, I think there's a lot of games that can be won with that formula. And I think also, when you see these quarterbacks going off the board so early, there's a number of other quarterback needy teams that could potentially jump up there. So it would not surprise me tomorrow if we do see a team jump up going for one of these quarterbacks early on. And I mean, I'll let you guys get a comment in here. I have some other things to say, but
I think the interesting situation is the Vikings had a guy in Sam Darnold to be right now their starting quarterback. you trade up and you give up 2 first-round picks and another one next year. I'm not sure that's what they'll end up doing on draft day, just because you talk about Sam Darnold as a good starting quarterback. So for the most part, you're not going to go out there and get JJ at 6. I think you're talking about quarterbacks going early, and that's kind of where we're at right now. But JJ McCarthy, if you were to tell me like months before the draft, him at 6, I mean, that's pushing it. It's pushing it, but I understand why.
If he's your guy, you go get him. That's what it comes down to. If he's your guy, you going. It doesn't matter. If he's their guy, go and get him at 1 if the pick's being traded. That's what it ultimately comes down to. What does the coaching staff and the general manager think of it?
I agree with that, but the only thing is, if you go out and you go up to 1, let's say JJ is their guy, you go up to 1, you're getting rid of more draft capital than you need to get to 6. And also, in recent drafts, we've seen teams overdrafting a quarterback and realizing you could have got him in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever round it was, and then you realize, like, hey, we did it, and we could have got another guy and him. So, I mean, quarterbacks are the most important position in football. So, I mean, kudos to the Vikings for getting their guy. It makes a lot of sense. Personally, I'm just not a fan of JJ McCarthy.
I understand why you're not a fan, but at the same time, you keep talking about them wanting to go and get their guy. They wanted to jump other teams who were in desperate need of getting a quarterback. They like what they saw in JJ McCarthy.
That's fair.
And they pulled the trigger. I understand that, moving back may not be the right move, but at the same time, JJ McCarthy has been rising in all of these mock drafts. He's very likely to go this high just because of, all the talk. Jim Harbaugh of the Chargers is really talking him up right now, and I feel like a lot of teams are really buying into it. So being able to go and get your guy, make your stud wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the entire league happy, they know that they can at least compete with a guy like JJ McCarthy as their signal caller.
With the Vikings, I think the reason they trade up this high is because there's always that thought in the back of their mind that, a team like the Broncos or the Raiders, who are very QB needy, teams who are in a very similar position with the Minnesota Vikings, where, they have career backups so far as their QB1s, that they might trade up and get, the 4th best quarterback in this draft. And it makes a lot of sense for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, you need someone that's going to give him the ball that, no offense to him, is not Sam Darnold. And a guy that you can develop. And Kevin O'Connell is a great QB coach. He's coached Stafford, Goff, Kirk Cousins. He's just a very good offensive-minded coach that will help JJ McCarthy and his development.
Gentlemen, the next pick is in. Number 7 overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. The Titans will select Joe Alt, tackle, Notre Dame.
I was just talking about how much I love some of these tackle prospects in this draft class, and Joe Alt was one of them that I felt like the Tennessee Titans absolutely needed to pull the trigger on. Their offensive line play last year was horrendous. It was one of the worst I had ever seen. Maybe not ever seen, but it was definitely one of the worst in the entire league. Their offensive line is god-awful. Joe Alt at Notre Dame was an absolute force. Just manhandling edge rushers, defensive tackles, picking up linebackers on the double team down the field. He's a very, very fast guy for his size as well, being able to pull behind the line, doing a lot of, stunt blocks. He's just the guy that the Titans need to be able to protect Will Levis and be able to get the ball out to their newest receiver in Calvin Ridley.
My question with that, you have Peter Skoronowski from Northwestern. Are you moving him inside to guard?
I would say so because he played a little bit of tackle and guard at Northwestern as well. Skoronski didn't have that great of a season last year. I understand it was his rookie year, so there's a little bit of growing pains with there. But being able to move him inside right next to Joe Alt, I feel like that's a nice 1-2 punch now. Skoronski's going to be able to, power down on the inside. Alt's going to be able to get up to the 2nd level. Like I said, he's very fast for his size. He's a big dude, but he can move very, very quickly. So being able to pair them up on that side is great.
If you have those 2 guys on your left side, this is a young tandem I love. Skoronski from Northwestern, Joe Alt from Notre Dame. 2 schools I root for in college football, and these guys are they're different, man. They're just different. They're great at run blocking, which I think is going to be the key to success with the Titans, especially with Derrick Henry. We'll see what happens with Will Levis as long as he gets more receivers. But Titans, their mojos run the football. You got 2 of the, arguably one of best run blocking coming out of the draft class in Skoronski, and you pair that on the left side. I mean, you're running downhill every single.
No, I will say this: Derrick Henry did in fact leave the Titans, though, so it is going to be a little bit harder for them to be able to power down the field. But again, just having those two guys being able to power forth, regardless of who of
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard. Thank you.
Spears.
Excuse me. Yeah. Like, I still believe that they're going to be one of the better rushing attacks in the league. They got the Bengals OC as their new head coach. He's very much pass first because the Bengals were very much, pass heavy, very, through the air. So maybe that could change up a little bit. But I feel like the Titans have always been a run first team, and I don't think they're going to delve too far away from that. So getting Joe Alt, boosting up their run blocking is definitely the move that they should go with on draft day.
Yeah, I think, you said the Bengals offensive coordinator, he's in Tennessee now as a head coach, and this pick gives them the opportunity to give the Titans the offensive line that Joe Burrow never had in Cincinnati. Not saying Will Levis is on the same tier as Joe Burrow, but every quarterback needs their thumpers on the O-line. And, the rushing attack is just going to get better because they have a great two-headed monster in Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. And Joe Alt is the best offensive lineman in this class, and they are a very offensive lineman heavy, need team. So easy pick for the Tennessee Titans here.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
I will say the Atlanta Falcons were ready. That pick came in awfully quick. Pick number 8 is in, and I got to tell you, it brings me great pleasure to announce Dallas Turner to the Atlanta Falcons, edge rusher from the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
I mean, it just seems so obvious for this team. I mean, they struggled so much getting to the quarterback last year, and Dallas Turner is a guy that I think can come in, this season and kind of be dynamic on the edge for this team. Raheem Morris, the new head coach in there, obviously very defensive-minded, and I think getting a guy that you can kind of stick out there on the outside that can really do a lot in both getting to the quarterback and also defending the run, I think just out on the perimeter of that front seven is going to be key to kind of not rebuilding this defense because it is, they've already got a lot of playmakers. But again, getting to the quarterback was an issue for them. I think Turner solves that immediately.
I love bringing Dallas Turner into Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta's had a very hard time of getting edge rushers. So
it feels too obvious.
No,
it feels too obvious. This is just a pick that if he's there and Atlanta stays here and this is how the board shakes out, I'd be shocked if it doesn't.
No, 100%. And I feel like Atlanta's defense has definitely been on the rise with them signing Jesse Bates last season. They were definitely one of the, they were middle of the road, but having a guy like Dallas Turner coming into the fold now, that defense is going to be even better.
I mean, Raheem Morris has had a great track record in developing his edge rushers. You saw Byron Young last year. He had 8 sacks for the LA Rams. He's always been great with the defensive line and those edge rushers, and Dallas Turner is going to be a stud for these Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I love Dallas Turner. There's arguably, could he be the best edge rusher in this class? People are debating, is it Letu? Is it Verse? I think Turner is the best edge rusher in this class, so I don't think it's any question in my mind that that's the right pick by the Falcons, especially possibility on draft day trying to trade down.
All right. With that, the Chicago Bears have their second pick of this first round in at pick number 9. Pick number 9, the Chicago Bears will select Oli Fashanu offensive lineman from Penn State.
Yeah, you got your quarterback, number 1, Caleb Williams. What do? Protect him. That's number 1. That's the number 1 priority with a franchise quarterback. You have to protect him. And as you can see from the tape, just a great job at protecting the quarterback. That's what the Bears need because they have nobody at this point. They have too many needs. They have DJ Moore, which is why I did not go with the wide receiver in Odunze. You could have said maybe Brock Bowers, but I like Cole Kmet from Notre Dame. So when in doubt, go with the big boys up front. You got to block. You got to find rhythm to run as well. So, they got to do something. Why not protect the quarterback when you get a franchise guy in Williams early on?
Derek, I love the inflection in your voice when you're describing Olu Fashanu over there. I mean, I just feel like it's going like up, down, like we're getting some nice vocalization over there. I agree with you, dude. Everybody keeps on saying they're going to get a wide receiver here, but like I really don't think it's that big of a need. Grab the left tackle here. Some people say Olu Fashanu is the best pure pass protector of any of the tackles here. Go out and get some protection for Caleb Williams. I agree 100% everything you said.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also 100% agree as well. I was a little bit on the fence. I didn't really know what the Bears wanted to do with this. I didn't know if they really wanted to form like a really good trio of receivers, potentially get Odunze. But at the end of the day, you want to go out and you want to get that guy who's going to be able to defend your number one overall pick quarterback. I mean, like they didn't do that for Justin Fields. So I mean, if they want to start fresh with Caleb Williams, they're gonna have to do that. And if they want to get aggressive with it, absolutely taking Fashanu there is the best case scenario for this team.
Yeah, I mean, they easily could have gone receiver, given a third weapon to the Chicago Bears, but bringing in Keenan Allen to accompany DJ Moore with Cole Kmet, Caleb has the weapons there. Now it's all about protecting the quarterback, which Chicago has historically never really been able to do, especially in the last 10 years. They've always, had an okay offensive line. And Olu Fashanu is an awesome offensive tackle, and he's going to really help this offensive line in Chicago.
Yeah, I would just like to take a moment to correct myself. I don't want to be full John Kinane up here. I did say offensive lineman. I did mean offensive tackle. So my apologies, everybody. With that being said, pick number 10 is in. There will be some interested audience members around here for this one. It is the New York Jets at number 10, selecting wide receiver Rome Odunze from the University of Washington.
So Rome Odunze, he is one of the best receivers in this class and, can easily go top 10. And that's why I have him with the New York Jets. I mean, they have Garrett Wilson. They don't really have a lot of other wide receiver talent here. You could have gone offensive line, but the best offensive lineman that was still available, and Olu Fashanu got taken by the Bears. You might as well get Aaron Rodgers, another weapon in Rome Odunze here. I mean, he had a fantastic season for Washington, and he is just a fantastic receiver. This is what the Jets need here.
Pair him up with Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. I feel like that's a home run. I feel like that's a perfect pairing. Rome Odunze was one of the best route runners in this draft class. I feel like when you talk about the Marvin Harrisons, the Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze is right there with them. Like I was talking about 1A, 1B type of scenario. Malik Neighbors being, very good at the catch point. Odunze is easily one of, if not the best route runners in this draft class. So being able to pair him with Garrett Wilson is just a great move by the New York Jets.
Why did you go Odunze instead of Bowers?
So the reason I went Odunze instead of Bowers is because I personally think Brock Bowers will fall in this draft.
You think so? So the reason you don't draft a guy in Brock Bowers is because you think he's going to fall?
I think he's going to fall, one, and I think Odunze is a better prospect.
See, okay, I can agree with Odunze possibly being a better prospect, but if you think Bowers is going to fall, but he's your guy, why wouldn't you draft him?
Because I don't think he is the guy for the Jets. I think the Jets want another receiver for Garrett Wilson because under offenses and Aaron
Bowers can still be a receiver.
I think you're mad that you didn't fall to the Giants. That's what I think you're mad about.
No, but when you look at it, though, everybody's reporting that the New York Jets are interested in Brock Bowers.
They're also reporting that
who's everybody? Who's everybody? Derek?
ESPN, Bleacher Report. Whenever I look at my phone, the New York Jets are interested in Brock Bowers.
And this is also the time where every report is smoke, Derek. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If Odunze is the prospect over Bowers, then that's what it is. The one thing I'll say, if I'm the Jets here, I'm going offensive line, even with both of those weapons there. I mean, your number one priority has to be keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. Throughout his career, he has always elevated the play of the receivers and tight ends around him. I'd be going offensive line to just add another hog molly, as Jimmy says, in front of him on that line. If you're going to rely on Tyron Smith, who hasn't played a full season since 2015, and Morgan Moses, who also has health problems of his own, I'm getting an offensive tackle there. I don't care who it is. Give me even Troy Fatanu, who's uber versatile, can play almost every position on the offensive line. I would have gone the line, but if Rome Odunze is their guy at wide receiver, I respect the pick.
That's why I would have gone Bowers here, not just because he can catch the football, because we've seen the offensive line not be good. He can also help in the run blocking system, pass blocking if you just want him to just pass block instead of being out as a receiver. His versatility to me is what the Jets need, not necessarily just another receiver. You need more versatility. That's why I would have gone Bowers, but Odunze is a great pick. I just think Bowers would have been a better fit for the Jets.
We're going to keep with the New York theme here. The New York Giants will be selecting next. Do I understand we're going to Nick Chirito before the pick is in? Is that how this is going? Okay, so the pick will be announced first. I'm trying to get my order straight here. Thank you, Scheme Gene in the back. With the 11th pick in the 2024 mock draft presented by Halftime on the Hudson, the New York Giants will select Terrion Arnold, cornerback from the University of Alabama.
Real quickly, before we go to Nick, let's just look at this tape, man. I mean, this is a lockdown corner. Not necessarily you would expect the Giants to go with the defensive back. Why not pair him with Banks? Make a decent duo at the back end of the defense, because when in doubt, defense wins championships, and I know you are. You're a big Bama guy. Why not get this guy?
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, you just keep looking at this film. It says it. Just great off the ball. This is a guy who just is going to be that guy. Hopefully we'll go to Nick soon. And let's kick it over to Nick right now.
Nick Torito, waiting patiently.
Yeah, he's waiting in anticipation.
I will
right
continue to say Roll Tide up here as much as I have to until we're ready for Nick Torito, and he might throw me off this stage if I'm not careful. Anyone got any John Kinane jokes while we're here? Whatever happened to him last year? Why
his walk-in song would have been something by Steely Dan?
I was gonna say. I mean, I'm trying to figure. I'm honored to be the commissioner. I'm happy to be in this position, but whatever happened to that guy?
All right, let's go to Nick. I think we got it now. I think we got it. I hope so.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe we're not even gonna go to Nick.
You know what?
All right. Okay. So listen.
Here. Let me ask Derek a question.
Let's talk about. Let's talk about this pick a little bit. We can go to Nick after.
Yeah. Let me ask Derek a question here. Derek, you say that you want to make a decent defensive backfield with Deontay Banks and Terrion Arnold. What makes this decent? Why can't this be great? Why would you much rather?
Well, no, I think it can be better. I think it can be better than decent. I was just kind of going under the radar in terms of not everybody loves Arnold as a defensive back overall. I just think when you look at the guys listed for the pick, Brock Bowers' potential, okay, you have Darren Waller right now. Do you really want to go Bowers? We don't know if he's going to retire or not. Then you go edge rusher. You just added Brian Burns. Why add another edge rusher? Offensive lineman, you've drafted guys constantly. There's no point in going offensive lineman. So at the end of the day, you possibly can trade back again, but trading back and back and back is not going to do you any favors when you got so many needs. So I go Arnold. The other guy that I was looking at was Mitchell, the cornerback from Toledo, but when in doubt, Bama, because Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator for Alabama, because why not have that Bama connection?
Derek, I think it's important to keep the connection going. Obviously, and listen, if you want me to tell Bama stories, I will. But I will say we've been informed that we're going to go to break for the time being, and then we will be right back. Oh, see I'm getting conflicting information, Jimmy. Now
we're all over the place.
Okay. Well, in that case, Derek, please keep pontificating then.
Yeah, I just love this, man. I mean, the Giants trade back, and then you finally,
I can add a question here. Is this an age-old case of you traded back, hoping that you were going to get a certain wide receiver to fall to you, and he didn't fall to you? Is that what ended up?
This is exactly what
I'm curious. Be honest.
Be honest, please. Because I traded down because I didn't want a quarterback, and I wanted more picks for next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And later on. I personally looked at this class. I was surprised Joe Alt went 7. I thought that was a great pick. I thought it was a little bit earlier. I think you're going to see offensive linemen fall. So I thought maybe I'd get Alt at 11. And then also once I saw Alt, Turner, and Oli go, I thought Odunze would have fell because all the smoke is with the Jets going Bowers. So I thought they were going Bowers. And if I got Odunze at 11, you're telling me if you're the Giants, you go down to 11, you get your guy in Odunze, you get another first-round pick this year and another first-round pick next year. That's a home run draft. I want it to be a home run draft.
That didn't happen, though.
It didn't happen.
You maybe hit a double, but
I hit a single. But it is what it is. But I think at the end of the day, you pair two corners together. Mm-hmm. Talk was maybe they go with a veteran defensive back. You got Arnold instead. Solidify the defense. We'll see what happens with their next when they pick at 23. But at the end of the day, it was just honestly it was unlucky for the Giants that Odunze went 10.
And you are an Arnold guy over Quinyon Mitchell?
I think it's very tough, honestly, to figure that out between the two. I think the reason you go Arnold over Mitchell if you're the Giants is because Alabama. The Alabama connection with Dayball is, to me, something that is more important than a cornerback from Toledo.
I mean, okay,
because
when was Brian Dable the OC of Alabama?
Yes, but
Zach Arth was still good. Zach Arth was
when
still
you
in
look
school.
at it, though, when you look at it, you look at Alabama being a top program, okay, in college football.
Yeah.
Toledo is not a top program, so it's a lot tougher for a guy to develop from Toledo to the pros than it is from Alabama to the pros, and I think Arnold is more pro-ready. Mitchell has more potential 10 years from now, 5 years from now, but pro-ready, Arnold is the guy, in my opinion.
We'll see. I'm a big Quinyon Mitchell fan, so I'm going to be curious to see how these two guys' careers kind of compare as they go forward. And if either of these guys get drafted this early, we'll have to see when cornerbacks kind of start to go off the board tomorrow.
Yeah, I will admit I'm still stuck on the idea of Derek saying home run and Derek in the same sentence. I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me. So that's a singles hitter every day of the week, folks. However, the 12th pick is in. The Denver Broncos with the 12th pick in the 2024 Halftime on the Hudson mock draft select tight end Brock Bowers from the other school down south. That would be Georgia.
Yeah, I have the Broncos going tight end here. I mean, it's a tough spot because they obviously have a lot of positions need, but you hear GM George Patton come out this week, and his words have kind of been, not that they're throwing smoke towards anything, but what the Broncos ultimately need to do here is make an impact pick with number 12. And I just don't know if reaching for any of the remaining quarterbacks on the board would be that impact pick. So whatever that position kind of is, I think they're just going to kind of go best player available here. There's a couple guys that were in my mind, but ultimately I went with Brock Bowers, who I think, yes, they need to address quarterback. Look, and even this is going to be kind of a multi-year project for Denver. If they don't get their guy at quarterback this year, there's going to be a draft next year. There's going to always be kind of a quarterback carousel every offseason. I just don't think this is the right spot. That doesn't mean they can't address quarterback with their third-round pick potentially. Obviously, that's not going to be as much of a slam dunk immediately as maybe a first-round pick. But here, I just decided to go best player available, and that was Brock Bowers in my mind.
I mean, you say this is a multi-year project. I understand why you may not have wanted to go quarterback to not really reach. But again, Zach Wilson is in the building. I just don't really think that he's going to be your guy unless they decide to go in and get one of those later-round picks. But with it being a multi-year project,
yeah.
Sean Payton is going to be up in the air. Who knows if he wants to really stay for those another few years to try and build up this Denver team. He came in expecting to compete. And I understand Brock Bowers is a phenomenal player. They haven't had a really good tight end since Shannon Sharp. So making an impact decision like that is great. But again, quarterback, I felt was a position of need and needed to be addressed immediately.
I think it's a position of need. But again, for my money, if I'm the GM of the Broncos, it's not going to be Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix at the 12th pick. I know it's going to be a tough situation there with this room. I get what you're saying with Sean Payton. If he's dead set on a guy that he's going to go and tell, George Patton, this is my guy, get him at 12. We're not waiting for anything else. Do it. For my money, that's not the case.
The question is, do you like the tight end room right now? Because you got, guys who are okay, Greg and, Adam as their first names, but
are you on a first name basis with them?
Dude, I love first names. I don't know why, but I love first names.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So is that a position that you wanted to go for, in terms of tight end, or did it just kind of fell into your lap?
I think and our commissioner in his interview with Sam at the start kind of talked about, do you go need or do you go kind of best player available? And I think you're always kind of trying to find that balance. Here, I think I leaned a little more towards best player available, while also maybe not a glaring need, but a need to a degree nonetheless. So again, this is kind of the player I landed on because to me, there's just not, to me, it's too high for one of these two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I really do. I think you get Brock Bowers at 12. I think before this draft happened last year, you're talking about Brock Bowers being a top 5 guy, without a doubt, and you fall to 12. I think it's solidified, perfect. You just got to find the quarterback of the future, and you'll be in good shape. But it's interesting.
Whatever team gets Brock Bowers, they're gonna hit a home run with that pick. Yes, they are QB needy, but I think they can get one later or in the offseason. So I thought it was a great pick too.
Derek loves first names. He's never once called me by my first name. I will say now, here we are. Anyways, the 13th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders. But I believe before we get to that pick, we have another video from someone who is streaming from some remote location.
Hey guys, how's it going? So glad that you guys brought me back on here to do this. So happy to see that this thing is still going on. Something that we started a couple years ago. So happy this is something that you guys have been continuing to do. I would like to say though, what's most important here is go Raiders, right? They can go a lot of different ways in this draft. I could see them totally trading up to 3 and going for a guy like Jaden Daniels because they seem to really be in love with him because of the Antonio Pierce connection. But if they do stay at 13, there's a lot of different things they could do. They could beef up the offensive line. For years, it feels like the Raiders have been trying to address the right tackle position. So they could beef up the offensive line there, maybe get a guy like Joe Alt if he happens to fall there. I don't know if he will, but just one of those top offensive tackle prospects. They could also look for cornerback, maybe one of the 2 from Alabama, Terrion Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. Those are always looking like options for them as well, especially now that they lost Meek Robertson. So it's just Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones. They could also potentially reach at 13 for a quarterback. I'm a really big fan of Bo Nix personally, so they can try to get him, or they can get Penix, who I'm a little hesitant of. Love his skill set, but the injuries are what really concerns me. So a lot of different avenues that the Raiders can go here if they do choose to stay at 13. Excited to see what you guys come up with. And Derek, why don't you please make a good pick for the Raiders? Please do something to help us out.
I concur, Pat. That's one of my favorite people. I mean, I go way back. Anyways, hopefully you'll be happy about this one. With the 13th pick in the 2024 Halftime on the Hudson mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jared Verse from Florida State, edge rusher.
Yeah, this might not make a lot of sense just because you already have Max Crosby at the edge position, but why not pair him up with Jared Verse? This is a team going into this draft in the Raiders. I'm looking at offensive linemen and I'm looking at defensive linemen. Verse, in my opinion, is the best edge rusher. I think he's better than Letu. So when in doubt, he was the best player on the board, and he's at a position of need because as I look at this board, it's edge rushers, offensive linemen. You're going to see a corner come up soon, but offensive linemen and edge rushers, I wanted to go with the edge rusher and Verse. So that's the guy that I went with the Raiders because it just makes too much sense.
Honestly, Derek, you say that it doesn't make sense off the top and then you decide to say it makes sense afterwards. Sure, pairing him up with Max Crosby could be good because, they had the idea of pairing up Max Crosby with Chandler Jones. That didn't work out, hoping Chandler Jones is, doing okay. But at the same time, do you really, as a Raiders fan, want to stick with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback?
Who are you going with?
I mean, sure.
Bo Nix.
Sure. I mean, you could say that some of the other quarterbacks could realistically
Michael
be reaches.
Penix.
Derek, at the same time, though, sure, you could say that they could be reaches, but I just feel like edge rusher was not the position of need. I felt like there were other places that they could have gone. I felt like that defensive back could have absolutely have been something they wanted to go with, maybe like a Quinyon Mitchell, because their defensive backs are not very good. They don't have good defensive back play. They don't have very good safety play. So I feel like that could have been, the pick that they made. But again, sure. Jared Verse, I think, is a phenomenal player. Pairing him with Crosby should be good. But again, that's probably not where I would have gone with.
It was kind of between Verse and Mitchell. Those were the two guys that I was kind of deciding with. But I kind of like the big guys up front. I think just put more pressure on the quarterback because even if you add a guy in Mitchell, you still have so many other holes in the backfield, defensive backfield. Why not add a guy up front to put more pressure on the quarterback where he won't have as much time to have to throw the football down? But quarterback to me is more of a need later on in the rounds, third, just because there's 4 quarterbacks drafted and I don't want to reach. Like I personally in this draft class think that's a huge reach to have the 5th best quarterback get selected at 13. So that's why I didn't go 13. I think I can get him in the 2nd round or later on, which however the draft ends up depending.
But if you're the Raiders, I know he struggled a lot last season, but you just spent a 7th overall pick last year on Tyree Wilson. Are you really willing to give up that potential and draft Jared Verse? Because why would you go edge rushers 2 years in a row when you also have one of the best in the entire NFL in Max Crosby?
Fellas, we got some big news here. We do have to go to break. However, the Eagles have just traded up to get the 14th overall pick. They'll be picking next, and the Saints will get the 22nd pick in this draft, a 2nd rounder, and a 4th rounder. So we'll be back after this to talk about that trade.
Hey y'all, it's me again because you know what? Last year I was doing behind the scenes for Marist College MCTV mock draft. Guess what? I'm doing it again. There's Jimmy, Eugene, hanging out by a freaking tree. There's Derek. There's Tom. He's wearing his Yankees hat because we're going to the Yankee game tonight. Here we go. Right now, I'm chilling in Gene's car, and I'm about to be GTA thrown out.
Who the hell is this guy? It's draft day.
Man, they're so mean. Gene, what's your prediction on the Yankee game?
I'm thinking Yankees 10 million, Rays 0. No, but for real, boom. Give me Yankees 6, Rays 3 with a Juan Soto home run.
Drill deep to right field. There it goes. See ya.
Who called that Soto home run?
You did, Gene.
Who called that Soto home run?
You did.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys, I'm taking over the vlog. We got some good billiards action going on over here.
We are solids, right?
Yes.
All right.
You know you can flip the camera around, right? No.
How do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep inside you? How do I get myself back?
Did you say that you were in the musical?
Yeah.
You got a voice? You got
I
pipes?
don't know. I'm not a good singer.
You have pipes?
I
Or
do
were
not
you
have
like a
pipes.
background
I would have to sit there, and every song that I would do, I'd sit there with the piano player, and he'd go through, like, this is the note, try and sing it, and he'd correct me up or down on each note. And I had to just memorize where I had to get my voice for every single note. It was a very time-consuming process.
You should play like I'm a Gummy Bear.
That's Derek's thing.
That's going to be his intro
It's like
song.
car plays now.
Gee, where are you? It's draft day.
I wish I got like the side camera of that. I was just filming myself because I thought something was going to happen.
The belly face down on the mattress.
Got it.
Longest door
All right, what number?
I hit the wall. I hit the wall. I hit the wall. So we have a little bit of a change of plans here. It's like 12:30. We got a flat tire on the way home. I just walked through Poughkeepsie, got the car back. Now we're finally ready to do those scenes. It's draft day, baby. My shoes are broken and my day is ruined. Do you have any like black tape? No, it needs to survive like a little bit longer.
It's talking.
Random Hannaford parking lot was not on my bingo card tonight, but here we are.
We're currently on our way to film the shot of the bridge.
The final shot of the video.
What they don't know is that I'm just leading them out here. We may never see them again.
He said he's not coming back to pick us up.
Send
help.
Yeah, I picked up Jimmy. She's still out there somewhere.
It's happening. We're back. We're back. I left you on a cliffhanger. I said that the Eagles have traded up to the 14th overall pick. Believe it or not, folks, that's this one right now. So with the 14th overall pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select cornerback Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo.
Man, I feel like I'm cooking like Howie Roseman right now, like he's going to do tomorrow on draft night. Howie Roseman is always known for wheeling and dealing on the draft. He's got 2 second-rounders. He's going to use one of them to move up here and go and get Quinyon Mitchell, who I feel is not only maybe the best cornerback in the draft, But you could make the case he might be the best defensive player in the draft, and I think people would be talking about him that way if it wasn't for the fact he was playing at Toledo. Any other school, he may be getting that hype. The Eagles have one glaring need in their star and talent-laden roster, and that's a cornerback. Howie Roseman goes up and addresses that right now by getting Quinyon Mitchell. They've got an aging Darius Slay. They've got a James Bradbury who's a step slow in his career now. They boost up the secondary, and I just think that this is a home run pick for the Eagles if they can jump up here, get it done. They have to give up a second. They give up a fourth, but I think it's worth it for them to go and address this need.
I think you're making Ricardo very happy right now. I feel like he'd be very, very excited about this pick. You've been raving about Quinyon Mitchell this entire process so far. So being able to trade up with the Eagles to take him, I feel like was just it needed to happen.
So you go up 8 spots. What'd you give up?
I gave up my other first, so swap first, and then I gave up a second, and then I gave up a fourth. Wheeling and dealing. Derek approved.
I think it's a little bit much. Giving up a second and a fourth, but if this is your guy and you want the cornerback position, I think it makes sense. I just think it's a little too much to move up 8 spots.
Okay.
Derek did not approve. This just in. Speaking of this just in, we have another trade. The draft room, it's getting exciting in here now. The Indianapolis Colts have traded their 15th pick to the Bengals. The Bengals trade. The Bengals move up to 15. The Colts move to 18. They also get a 2024 third rounder and a 2025 fifth rounder. So that means the Cincinnati Bengals are now picking at 15. Believe it or not, that pick is also in. We are flying along here. So with the 15th overall pick in the 2024 mock draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Talise Fuaga, an offensive tackle from Oregon State.
And guess what? This guy doesn't even have to change colors. Black and orange for the Beavs, and he's going to be wearing black and orange for the Bengals. It's just a perfect fit at the end of the day. You need an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been banged up recently for the last couple of years. Get an offensive lineman, help him out in pass protection, and pretty much all these highlights are just pass protection. And you know the Bengals, they like to pass the football. They're not as much of a run-heavy team, so this is a perfect fit at the end of the day.
Now, Derek, why not some of these other offensive tackle prospects? Why Fuaga? Why not like Latham, Fatanu, Mims? Why Fuaga?
I think it's number one. I think it's just ironic that he doesn't have to change colors.
Was this your entire process?
No. But I think compared to other guys, his pass protection is better than the other guys. The other guys might be more balanced, but if you're the Bengals, Joe Burrow throws the football 40, 45 times a game. You really want to shore up the pass protection in terms of the tackle position. The other guys are more, I guess, balanced type of guys, and you need to really shore up pass protection. That's the difference for me, for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best pass protector left on the sport, in my opinion. And Joe Burrow needs all the protection he can get.
Sorry, guys. I'm working on the pick over here for the Seahawks. We're going down to the wire.
You're all good. You're all good.
The Seahawks are on the clock here, and I believe Nick is looking for a player who doesn't have to change jersey colors.
It's tough because I'm trying to get this pick in while also in the back of my head I disagree with Derek, and I'm trying to prioritize one over the other. But I have the pick ready to go.
The pick is in.
I'll give it to Zach. I disagree with you. I think Fuaga is actually one of the best run blocking tackles in the draft. People say he might move into guard, but here you go. I'll pass that pick over.
I mean, we only saw pass protection highlights.
I didn't make the highlight.
I didn't either.
That's as good a reason as any. With the number 16 pick in the 2024 NFL the mock draft, we have Laiatu Latu, edge rusher from UCLA, going to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes, we have the Seahawks grabbing, again, a player that I think here is the best available left on the board. You can never have enough help in the trenches. Seattle goes to the defensive line here, edge rusher. Latu may be the best pure pass rusher in this class of the edge rushers. He's a guy that's had medical issues in the past, but he's been healthy the last 2 years. He's put up double-digit sacks the last 2 years. If he's healthy and that checks out, I think he's going to go, right around in this range. And again, Seahawks going to shore up that front seven. They grab him. One thing I really like about him, too, he actually had professional offers to play rugby before he decided to go and play college football. So he's got some toughness to him, and obviously you get that playing, 4 years and dealing with a neck injury in college football. So Seahawks boost up the front seven here and grab Latu.
the Seahawks needed more physicality on that defensive front. I feel like bringing in Latu is definitely going to bolster that. They haven't really had a lot of good edge rushing talent as of late. So bringing in a guy like him who's going to be able to, rush the passer effectively, very quickly, very good with his hands, I think that that's a great pick for Seattle.
Yeah, I do too. I think this guy was top 5 projected early on in this draft, and then all of a sudden kind of fell down. You get him at 16. Who would have thought you get Latu at 16 when we started doing drafts? Because this is a guy who's top 5 talent in terms of if you see a guy, edge rushers go early, this guy's going to go early. I love the pick overall. Perfect pick.
We got Fake News Jimmy on the clock with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, we're on the clock. Don't even worry. I'll get this in.
Do we have a clock in here, by the way? Just out of curiosity, in case.
No, we're chilling, man.
Oh, so we're vibing. So we're letting Fake News Jimmy take as long as he wants.
Oh, I'm ready.
He's scribbling away.
Oh, don't even worry.
The pick is in.
The pick has been in. Well, is in now. It is now. It is now.
All right. With the 17th overall pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Byron Murphy, the second defensive tackle from Texas.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Vete. You wanted to bolster that front 7 with Seattle. I feel like Jacksonville absolutely needs to do that too. And Byron Murphy was one of the best defensive tackle prospects in this entire first round. He's an absolute force in the front. He's powerful. He's mean. He's angry. He's going to come for the run. He's going to come for the pass. He's just a force to be reckoned with down there. And I feel like that Jacksonville just needed to be much more physical right up front.
He's attacking those hog mollies.
Oh, he's attacking the hog mollies.
He's coming right back at him.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah, man, he's really disruptive from the inside. I think it's another guy that teams in this range could think he's best player available at this point. So I like the pick, man.
Yeah, that's a great pick. The only thing I'd say, possibly could have traded down, get more picks, and then select them. But I think it's a perfect fit for them. Could have gone offensive lineman, but I think going defensive line is only going to help the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Jimmy, I'm supposed to interrupt you now.
Is that right?
Yeah, I am. I'm supposed to cut you off. And we're going over to Zach Hawashi. Is that true? All right. Zach, this is the number 18 pick for the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah. See, I mean, I'm telling you.
They're screwing with you, man. They're screwing with you.
I'm telling you.
Zach, we're keeping you on your toes right now.
Which Zach are you talking about? That's my question.
Yes.
Both of you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again to Scheme Gene. With the number 18 pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from LSU. And we are going to go over to Zach Hawashi once this highlight rolls.
Yeah. Sam.
Brian Thomas Jr., he is the best wide receiver still on the board here. And the Colts, they are a team that they love to draft the best athlete. Brian Thomas Jr. is the best athlete here, and the Colts need a receiver besides Michael Pittman for Anthony Richardson to have. I think it's a home run pick here. He's the best wide receiver still available. And easy pick for the Colts.
Yeah, let's hear. There is a bit of a Colts fan over there, so let's see what Zach Hawashi thinks about this.
Yeah, so thanks, Commissioner. But with this pick, I would say that it's not my favorite pick. I would prefer maybe a defensive back to bolster a secondary. But I understand going wide receiver. We're very young, and again, like Sam mentioned, the Colts. Chris Ballard loved the VAS scores, loved those athletes. He has a 9.84 VAS, almost. He had 1,700 yards. He had 17 touchdowns. He was an all-around just beast of a weapon over in college. And I hope if you were to translate, that would give Anthony Richardson another young weapon to get the ball to and get that offense hopefully running with weapons like him, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and of course, Anthony Richardson at the helm. I hope that would just make the offense explode even more. And hopefully we'll win the division and hey, maybe the Super Bowl.
It's been a while since there's been
That's a bit.
I like the optimism. I like the optimism.
Yeah. All right.
Bold.
Now thank you, Zach, from the Green Room. I appreciate your feedback here. But Sam, I'm going to ask you a quick little question here. Why brought Brian Thomas Jr. here? I feel like that's a little ambitious, taking a guy like him who I personally thought could have been an early second round talent. I understand his first round capabilities, but again, I felt like that he could have fell. Maybe a little bit too ambitious for the Colts to go and get him.
So for Brian Thomas, the talent is just too good. It's just too good right here. And the Colts, yes, they do need corners, but at the same time, they need more weapons for Anthony Richardson. They're building around this young quarterback, and he needs all the weapons that he can get. And Brian Thomas Jr. is the best weapon available on the board right now, in my opinion.
I would have gone offensive lineman, but I think it's a fair pick to go wide receiver.
Just like that. With that being said, the number 19 overall pick is in. The Los Angeles Rams selecting 19th overall in the 2024 NFL mock draft. Select, it's a great choice, J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama.
I mean, J.C. Latham right now, he is the best offensive lineman on the board. The Rams, they do need their offensive line help. It's been very, very shaky as of late for these Los Angeles Rams, and he is the best lineman on the board right now. Comes from, a great legacy of Alabama offensive linemen. Bama has constantly been producing these great linemen, and J.C. Latham is just the next one in this long legacy of Bama linemen.
I honestly like this pick a lot. Like, I feel like that J.C. Latham is a very, very good talent. I feel like he's definitely very good with both run and pass blocking. And I feel like that bringing him in for the Rams to be able to, protect Matthew Stafford, because their offensive linemen have been kind of on the rotation ever since their Super Bowl year, So bringing in Latham, young guy, very versatile guy, can do a bit of everything for you. I think that that's a great pick for the Rams.
I'm never going to argue bolstering the trenches. He may have been the pick for the team that's picking next. I'm not going to lie. We'll get to that when we get there, but I respect the pick.
He may not have been a pick for a team earlier, though, too. So he definitely was very sought out by a couple of teams.
All right. Speaking of, Nick, you did mention that next team maybe perhaps wanting a pick. That next team is number 20. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who with the 20th overall pick select Marius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. Nick, talk us through it.
Yeah, go with the Marius Mims here, man. I mean, this is a guy that's got all the traits that you want in a big offensive tackle. Reuniting him with Broderick Jones on that offensive line as well. This is a pick where I think offensive tackle is a major priority for the Steelers. They go out and get a guy that's going to need a little bit of time to develop, only played 8 games in college as a starter, but you get him in there and you just keep solidifying that offensive line. There's going to be, this is the point I brought up earlier, there's going to be other positions the Steelers need that they can address later, but getting a premier offensive tackle is something you have to do here in the first round. And I also have a fun fact for you guys. Every single year since 2010, the first round pick of the Steelers has had either Mike Tomlin or the Steelers GM at their pro day. Steelers, Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan only went to 4 pro days this year. Georgia was one of them. Marius Mims, I think, is a great talent. He's going to need a little bit of time to develop, but I think sooner or later he's going to be the right tackle in Pittsburgh, so he's the selection here.
I have a question for you here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does it worry you at all to have their offensive linemen so young and still developing?
No, I'm comfortable with the development, and honestly, I think one thing you see with offensive linemen in the NFL too is sometimes they need a season or two to develop. Everybody was ready to give up on Andrew Thomas with the Giants, and look at how he's panned out. Now people say, he's one of the best tackles in football. So I'm cool with needing a little time to develop.
I got to tell you, if there's one person I know who's going to have an opinion about this pick, it is none other than our Pittsburgh Steelers representative. That would be Thomas Kilroy over there in the green room. Yeah, here we go, Tom.
This pick is a home run, as Vete usually does. His ball, kills it again. Can't really go wrong with
that, Tom.
You can't really go wrong with the Georgia tackles. Having 2 guys that played together at school is fantastic. Mims is a big dude. He is a behemoth on the line, fitting the Broderick Jones stereotype from last year. Dan Moore is terrible. You've watched it. I've watched it. I hate watching it. I'm sick of watching
it for too long.
I've watched him play football for way too long, and they refuse to give up on him. I think now they finally have to give up on him. When a guy like Mims falls into your lap like this, it is literally a gift from God. I got nothing more else to say, but then I have respect for Vete.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the pick, and let's hope that this happens tomorrow night.
That is unbelievably high praise. Gentlemen, any other thought on Mims over here from this side of the table?
I can't complain. We keep talking about all these good things about these offensive line prospects. I mean, me and Vete are all over it right now.
Can I ask the super fan a question?
Yeah,
Who would you have preferred, Mims or Latham, if both of them were available?
Give me Mims any day of the week.
All right.
The guy's college teammate. You can't get that. I love Latham, and I no disrespect to Zach Arthur here. You guys are a farm for linemen, but you got to get someone's college teammate. How often does that come around? Look at with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, different position, but look at that. They gel together like glue. What can I say?
Well, not only that, also teammates with Darnell Washington and George Pickens, who are also there. So you're getting 4 players reunited on the Steelers.
Well, and I tell you what, the picks are coming fast and furious now. We are already moving on to our number 21 pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, coming from the Miami Dolphins, who will be selecting Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they needed a cornerback. You have Jalen Ramsey, who is aging, and that's the only cornerback. So why not go out and get Nate Wiggins? It might be a little bit of a stretch to get a guy in Wiggins when most people were thinking he's going to be later than 21. But at the end of the day, offensive line could have gone there, but cornerback was the right move because you got a guy in Ramsey, and he's going to age. You can see it already. He's decreasing in talent and just kind of overall his mantra. So go out, get a corner in Nate Wiggins. And this is a guy from Clemson who has had good years, has had bad years, but look for him to have a good year with the Dolphins, where he's not going to have so much pressure coming out with Ramsey being there.
I love Nate Wiggins, man. Anywhere I go, I think he's going to be a stud. I like him more than Terrion Arnold. I think that this guy is going to be a dog in the NFL. So if he's going to the Dolphins, lucky them.
And he also has perfect NFL cornerback size at 6'2", 185. He's what they look for in the modern day cornerback.
All right. Keeping with our Fast and Furious picks here, we have the number 22 overall pick from the New Orleans Saints, who, remember, there was a trade earlier, so the Saints have traded down to this spot. That would be Troy Fautanu, the offensive tackle from Washington, going to the Saints.
Now, the Saints trading back, they originally wanted J.C. Latham. I feel like that was a guy that really, that would have been the prime guy to put him there. Ryan Ramczyk is just not that guy. Trevor Penning hasn't really panned out. They need offensive tackle, and Troy Fautanu was one of the best remaining offensive tackles left. I feel like that, he's definitely one of the better prospects in this draft. Pairing him up on the left side, he's very versatile. He can play left, he can play right. Just being able to just protect the QB. He's very, like I said, I keep saying he's very versatile. He's a big guy, can move a lot. He's very balanced as well, being able to block for the run, block for the pass. I feel like that's the guy that New Orleans needs to go. They needed offensive tackle, and Fautanu was the best remaining guy. So that's why the Saints took him there.
I love Fautanu, man. Again, it's the same things I said about Wiggins. I think he's going to be great in the NFL, and I think any team that gets him is going to be lucky. If the Saints are able to trade back and grab him here, I think they'll be, jumping for joy running to the podium.
All right, we got the Giants on the clock here, and I believe the Giants pick is in. Really making me walk for some of these. All right, with the number 23 pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the New York Giants select quarterback Michael Penix Jr.
Ooh.
Derek, tell us what you're thinking.
Wow. All right. Michael Penix Jr. Now. Some people might not love it. Some people might love it. To me, when you look at Michael Penix Jr., this is a quarterback who the Giants need one. Daniel Jones is not it. I know he's on the older side in Michael Penix, but look at this dot. I mean, that is just beautiful. You got your defensive back early on, so you're not going to go with a guy in Cooper DeJean. So you look at how the board filled out. You don't need offensive line and Barton. You already got JMS. So you kind of look at the board, and Penix is a perfect fit. Need a quarterback, get him, see what happens in the second round to see what you can do. But, man, Michael Penix Jr. being a New York Giant, today is a great day, man. Today is a great day.
Derek, were you wearing that Giants hat the whole time?
No, I was
Did that just
not.
appear? Well, I tell you what, there's going to be someone who has thoughts about this pick, and there's going to be Nick Chirito over there in the green room. So why don't we go get his thoughts?
I was a little excited at first when I heard that there was going to be a trade, except they traded down. But for 2 first-round picks, I like that. Getting Terrion Arnold at cornerback after, losing some of our defensive backs from last season, I'm okay with that. Michael Penix Jr., I just don't know if he's a difference maker. I mean, last year the Giants averaged just over 15 points per game, which was 30th in the NFL. Now, defense got a lot better in the offseason, I believe, and I think that they're going to be average to above average. But they need to put points on the board. And I just don't think Michael Penix Jr. is that guy. Simple as that. Is he better than Daniel Jones and Drew Lock? Probably. I mean, the bar is pretty low. And we're also paying Daniel Jones $40 million to throw to Darius Slayton and a banged-up Darren Waller. Okay? Derek, you might have fumbled on this one. I'm not going to lie. You need a difference maker at quarterback, especially in this division. Even though the Cowboys are going to choke, maybe the Eagles might choke. I mean, I hate both of them. But to compete in this division, we need game changers. And I just don't think Michael Penix Jr. is that. Now, is he better than what we got? Absolutely. But he also needs some weapons too, which we don't have. So, Derek, I have to say you fumbled hard on this one. You fumbled hard.
Who are you going with?
I was saying you should have traded up. You should have traded up.
Traded up to get who?
Drake May. That's what you should have done.
So trade up to get Drake May.
Or just stayed at 6.
Maybe the Patriots didn't want to trade back.
There was no chance the Patriots were trading back, and no way
for the picks that he got.
You end up trading. You end up trading back.
For the picks that he got,
Arnold.
They're fine.
Arnold, Penix Jr.
But it
and then
doesn't.
Next year's first.
It only makes them slightly better.
Slightly better. You have a quarterback now who is, I guess, now the face
throwing
of the
ball
franchise.
to nobody.
Oh, come on. You get a defensive back to help out your guy in the backfield, and then you get a quarterback.
They still don't have anybody on offense.
You guys can go back and forth at this, but for Derek, as you being the GM of the Giants, I like the creativity, and I don't mind the Michael Penix pick here either. If he's the guy here and they're able to kind of wheel and deal and get him at the end of the first round,
he's going to be throwing to nobody. Nobody.
Again, I'll say the point. You can get wide receivers in mid-rounds. It's happened plenty of times.
One thing I will say is that I like Jalen Haidt. I think I like him as a deep threat, but they just can't throw him the ball. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I tell you what, I haven't seen a Giants fan so distraught since the past season. And I tell you, things are breaking down in the room. I think we got to go to break here because it's really getting ugly. It's getting ugly. Slander against me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Halftime on the Hudson. My name is Jimmy. Alongside me, we have Matt Spirio here.
I'm Matt Spirio here with Nick Vete. I'm Robert DeFelice, joined by Matt Spirio.
And welcome to another episode of Prove Your Point.
And we're going to start off with one in the NFL. Looks like Bryce Young is right in the thick of the race here. I think the Carolina, maybe it was some kind of attempted smokescreen to force a second trade. Which of the two, or if you have a third quarterback that you prefer, do you think should go first?
I think should go first overall. I think CJ Stroud has slightly better talent.
These guys are tying themselves to Daniel Jones. I think that says a lot about how they feel about Daniel Jones and their decision-making in this process.
With that said, the draft is now open. The Carolina Panthers and GM Zach Musso are now on the clock.
Julio Rodriguez, he's an MVP candidate. Luis Castillo, Cy Young candidate. Logan Gilbert, Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, rebut your Knicks, baby.
All right, I mean, call me baby. That's cute. But anyway,
they did bring in Jeff Okudah, which I think might delay the taking of a corner, but Gonzalez is certainly one of the best players on the board. So.
The Jeff Okudah thing's key because there's not pressure to play Christian Gonzalez right away.
But it's also the fact, too, it's like Okudah, it's not like he's really done anything great with his NFL career to this point. So I think it's almost more valid that, hey, you don't have to bring Gonzalez in and rely on him to start locking down number one wide receivers right away. He can kind of line up opposite Terrell, and I think that's going to be beneficial for his development.
But my Boston Bruins are the best team in hockey right now. They have a plus 105 goal differential, which is absolutely historic. I don't remember the last time that's happened, let alone like close to that.
I don't know why this is even a question right now. It is the UConn freaking Huskies.
That's why you pay the quarterback and running back. You're short.
There was 9 wins.
I know they have Kevin Durant. I know they have Devin Booker. I know they have DeAndre Ayton. But you know who they also have? Chris Paul. And you know what Chris Paul does in the playoffs? He chokes.
How are they different? Fake news, and I had to correct you. Wrong. You didn't know you spoke fake news. I corrected myself. Because it was a slip-up. You spoke blatant fake news, and I had to correct you.
Yours is worse. Yours is obvious.
Gentlemen,
can we get back to the topic? Would you like a little couple seconds? I'll let you give a couple seconds.
I think that.
All right, that is all. That is the final
I came in here. I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to lose this, but I feel great about my picks. And in due time, we're going to see that these picks were truly the ones that are going to come. Yeah, I can't even do this anymore. I can't do this.
Here, I'll prove your point. I go with the debate that I think was the strong today. That is yours, Nick.
That's all we have for the episode of Halftime on the Hudson. I'm Derek DeGallo. I hope to see you guys real soon.
Shout out Centerfield. That's everything we've got for Prove Your Point tonight. Thank you for tuning in.
We hope you guys join us next time here on Halftime on the Hudson. That's all we got for you today.
For the last time, this is all we got for you here on Halftime on the Hudson.
Thank you, guys. MCTV, we love you.
I tell you, things are still breaking down in the room here. We have not calmed down at all. We've gotten rid of Nick Chirito, thank goodness, because he was really getting out of hand over there at the desk. Derek was ready to start a fight up here. And I noticed in that little ad we just ran, you know, last year the commissioner needed bodyguards because I don't have a single bodyguard up here, I'll tell you.
I gotta be honest, I wouldn't really call Derek a bodyguard per se. But
you gotta also remember, if a ruckus does break out in here, Derek is, you know, he can just move over from being an analyst back to more of a bodyguard.
That's a fair point. I did see our friend Ryder over there. He did raise his hand. I believe Ryder's winning my bodyguard just in case.
So the betting odds, I guess, didn't work so well.
The overhead.
Yeah, he's been too busy making trades and losing his index cards. So in any event, our number 24 pick, it is in. And that would be the Dallas Cowboys at number 24, selecting Jackson Powers Johnson, center from Oregon.
So, I mean, the Cowboys, they lost Tyler Biadasz to the Washington Commanders, and they also do not have a lot of cap space. They need a center badly. They've lost two big portions of their offensive line in Tyron Smith and Tyler Biadasz, and Jackson Powers Johnson is the best center available in this draft class right now and the best center in the class. I think it's just a home run pick, slam dunk pick for the Dallas Cowboys in a position of need.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I don't think he's the best center in this draft class.
Then who would that be?
That's Graham Barton from Duke.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of also. Graham Barton is again. He's only played a little bit of center in his career, just doing it his freshman year. Again, that's a projection versus somebody who's been a true clear-cut center since the day he came into Oregon. So again, I mean, look, I get why you could say Graham Barton over Jackson Powers Johnson, but I don't hate the pick here because I do think that center is going to be a position that Dallas kind of desperately needs to address.
I don't hate the player. I think it's more that I think you have a guy at the same position that's better. I think Jackson Powers Johnson's a great player. I just think when you have Barton on the board, who's the same exact position, and I think slightly better, that would be my, I guess, concern. But if you like him more than Barton, it makes sense.
Barton, to me, is more of a guard. He's just more of a true guard. That's what he played in college. Jackson Powers Johnson, he's just a plug-in center that can play the position well.
Well, with that being said, our number 25 pick is in. The Green Bay Packers, number 25 overall, has selected, guess who? Graham Barton, center from Duke.
Why not? I talked about it. He's the best center in the class. Why not take him? And just look at this. I mean, just sit and enjoy these great highlights from Barton. Yes, you mentioned he played guard. He's also played center. The versatility for me, guard and center, is also key for the Packers because offensive lineman-wise, it's not too pretty just overall. So why not get a guy in Barton and he feels the need up front and help out the run game with now bringing over Josh Jacobs from the Raiders to be on the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I think interior offensive line is a need here. He played mainly tackle in college. I feel like we need to establish this. 3 seasons he was a tackle. His freshman year, he took snaps at center. A lot of people project him to go back inside, which I think is where he's going to play. I mean, I don't think he's built to play tackle. But either way here, again, I like the pick for Green Bay because they need to kind of boost that interior offensive line. And, with what they've kind of built in Green Bay, they've got a really kind of stout offense at this point. So to continue to bolster the offensive line, I think is a smart direction to go.
100%. I'm never going to complain about bolstering these offensive lines. But again, I'm gonna echo some of these concerns is the fact that you're taking him as the center for the Packers, but again, he's played much more of his time at tackle or guard. So maybe moving him at guard will probably be your best bet. But again,
I think you just need offensive linemen. He's versatile, so I don't think it's necessarily that I'm putting him in a box playing center. I just think you need offensive line. You kind of need a center. You also need a guard, and it wouldn't hurt to have another tackle. So, the versatility for me is really what stands out.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you there, Derek. I'm not.
We have no disagreement.
No.
Well, with that being said, number 26 overall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been on the clock, and they have selected with the 26th overall pick in the 2024 mock draft. That would be Chop Robinson, edge rusher from Penn State.
Hit him with the chop. Chop Robinson is one of the better edge rushers in this class. I feel like him and Latu were one of, like 1A, 1B type scenario. Chop Robinson is so athletically gifted coming off the edge. He's just outruns every tackle that he goes up against. Sure, you could say that he's a little bit on the smaller side, but again, that just adds to his overall speed and versatility coming around the edge. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers really haven't had a lot of good edge presence these past couple of seasons. Their defense still is a little bit of that ghost of what that Super Bowl team was. It's definitely not nearly as what it used to be. So at least starting on that defensive front, adding back to that edge rusher presence, bringing in Chop Robinson, I feel like is probably the best bet that Tampa Bay can do right here.
I mean, Chop Robinson is a fantastic edge rusher and one of the best names in this draft.
Oh, 100%.
If I do say so myself. Great pick for Tampa Bay here.
Yeah, I mean, I think edge rusher's, a position of need. The one interesting thing with him, he didn't have a lot of sack production. But again, that's something you project at the next level if you can put the tools together because he's built like a premier pass rusher. He's got a great first step. He's got great burst off the line. So if you can just get him, to turn that disruption in the backfield to more sack production, I mean, it'll be a home run pick for the Bucs.
With that being said, we have a bit of a theme going on here. Arizona Cardinals selecting number 27 overall. That would be the edge rusher Darius Robinson from Missouri with the 27th pick to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals second pick in the first round here, and I have them go in defensive line, continuing to build the trenches. That's been a theme of this draft, and they do it on the defensive side of the football. Robinson is somebody that's kind of got that little bit of a versatility that he can put his hand in the dirt and line up inside, and he can also kind of go outside and rush the pass rusher straight up as more of your prototypical edge rusher. So versatility. Jonathan Gannon's always kind of been a fan, especially when he was the defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, of kind of having those versatile defensive linemen. So they get one here in Darius Robinson, who was super disruptive in his college career.
Yeah, defensive tackle was 100% a position of need for the Cardinals. Their defense overall, their defensive front ever since Chandler Jones left has just really been lackluster. So again, starting over young, starting over with a lot of versatility, a lot of power in a young frame, I feel like that's a great pick for Arizona there.
You know who's on the clock, don't you? That'd be the Buffalo Bills.
Oh boy.
We're getting serious now. It's not easy. It's not easy being so good, having such a late pick. Anyways, with the 28th overall pick in the 2024 mock draft, the Buffalo Bills select, great choice, Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
I mean, what a name, first off. And, Commish, Buffalo Bills fan.
Thank you.
Alabama fan as well.
Nope,
I mean,
not biased, though. I'm not biased.
This just fits. It really does fit. And I think he's the best defensive back on the board. And if you're Buffalo, why not add more defense? Because defense at times has been a little wearisome. I understand possibly going wide receiver here, but I just think McKinstry, his value at pick 28 instead of going receiver is just too high to pass up.
I love the pick. I mean, I think Kool-Aid, when it's all said and done, could be the best defensive back in this class. He has that type of potential. I think a great pick for the Buffalo Bills here.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. And I think if you're not in love with a wide receiver here, don't burn this pick on a wide receiver. You know that it's a need in Buffalo, but again, you can find wide receivers in later rounds. If there's not a guy you're in love with, take a guy that you may think is the best player available, and I like that in Kool-Aid.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like there's an ongoing theme with Derek taking a lot of these Bama backs. But again, a lot of these Bama backs in general have just been very, very good. I mean, Alabama just produces very high-quality talent. So being able to get a guy like Kool-Aid when you're losing a lot of your defensive back talent in Buffalo, they were aging, battled a lot of injuries. Tre'Davious White was a very tough miss. But bringing in Kool-Aid to really fill that gap as I feel like that's definitely something that Buffalo should do when it comes down to their pick tomorrow.
You could tell Derek has really learned well from his years here at Marist College. We've really taught him some good things. The Detroit Lions, by the way, are on the clock. So, okay. We have a trade. This just in. The Detroit Lions trade their 29th pick to the Carolina Panthers. And the Lions will receive a 39th pick and a 101st pick. So that'd be a second and a fourth round pick. The Carolina Panthers, therefore, will receive the 29th pick in the draft. And so Carolina is on the clock.
I think that, this is something that we know Carolina has a certain need. They traded for Deontay Johnson in this offseason. I think they're also still maybe looking to bolster a wide receiver. I mean, there's a couple other different positions I could see them going. Maybe strengthening their secondary a little bit as well. So I'm interested to see how this pick kind of maneuvers, but they're sitting there early second round. So if there's somebody they like that, they can maybe give up an extra asset and go and get them at the end of the first round, could definitely see them doing it. So I'm curious who this pick's going to be.
Yeah, this trade made a lot of sense for the Lions because they already made the championship last season. They already made it to the NFC championship, excuse me. So, I mean, they didn't really lose a lot of key pieces. They were able to retain a lot of their key guys, maybe could have bolstered a little bit more depth in the offensive line. But again, you don't want to waste a first-round pick on some more depth pieces. You could realistically trade back, build a little bit more capital, and potentially get a guy in a later round who you feel could be that rotational piece or mid-level starter.
I'm receiving multiple cards. The Carolina GM has decided. With the 29th overall pick in the 2024 mock draft, the Carolina Panthers select Cooper DeJean, safety from Iowa.
Yeah, I think you look at this board right now, and you're talking about, you mentioned it, Nick, defensive back is a position of need. Cooper DeJean is the best safety possibly in this class. I think this guy is a solidified first-round pick. He comes down as far to 29, possible being a mid-round, first-round pick. Take him. He's there. Trade up. Just get ahead a little bit. Get your guy in DeJean, and that fits a role because I think the difference between McKinstry and DeJean are not that big. So when you see McKinstry go, you want DeJean, trade up, get that guy. Simple.
Cooper DeJean is a perfect pick here. Carolina definitely needs help with their secondary, and Cooper DeJean definitely fills that need for them.
Yeah.
I like DeJean. He's uber athletic and a guy that I think, we're going to see him line up at safety. We're going to see him line up in the nickel. If you need him in a pinch, he can line up outside. So I like him. He can do a lot of different things on a defense for the Panthers here. They move up and get him. And, we'll see how he's utilized there in Carolina.
Let's go to Cam 3 real quick.
Oh, he's done with
That's number 3, guys. I'm done.
Oh, congratulations.
We have there's a man littering. There's a man littering in the studio right now, and that would be Derek. So someone please apprehend him before he goes too far. Particularly because the number 30 pick is in. He's throwing the water bottle yet again, folks. The number 30 pick is in. That is the Baltimore Ravens selecting 30. That would be Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma.
So Tyler Guyton here. I mean, the Ravens, they 100% need an offensive tackle. They lost Morgan Moses. Tyler Guyton's the best offensive tackle still available, and you need to protect your two-time MVP quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
The only question is why not go receiver? I love Rashad Bateman. I think that guy has potential, but there's Mitchell out there. There's Worthy out there. There's Coleman out there. Could have gone receiver, but I like the pick overall. I like big boys.
No, but sorry, I wanted to throw one thing in. Derek, do you like Rashad Bateman because he played for Minnesota and PJ Fleck? Is that why?
Love me some row the boat, baby.
Resident
row
PJ
the
Fleck
boat,
stan
baby.
over here.
Row the boat.
I tell you, fake news Jimmy's trying to cut me off over here.
I
Because
apologize.
No, it's okay.
Row the boat, baby. Row the boat.
We have to go to someone very important, and that would be the Pope himself, Marley Pope over there in the green room. What thoughts from the Baltimore Ravens pick?
Yeah, so, I mean, speaking of Rashad Bateman, he did get an extension today, so Ravens wanted to keep him in the wide receiver room. That's why they didn't go wide receiver. I think Sam hit it on the head here with a pick. Tyler Guyton, he's a 6'8" tackle. He's someone who can be developed. Hopefully he can try to play this year a little bit because the Ravens did trade Morgan Moses this offseason. I think offensive line is obviously the biggest need for this team. Ronnie Stanley is not living up to his contract. His future in Baltimore is not looking too well for the next 3 to 4 years. And we just traded Morgan Moses because of his cap hit and his injury history. So I think tackle was the obvious choice here. And Guyton is someone who has heavy hands, is someone who can excel in the pass game. And with his athletic ability, I think he can develop in the run game to become that versatile tackle that Todd Monken wants in his offense. And I think this season that will help Lamar Jackson stay healthy and keep building the offense and continue to grow with the guys that he has, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, now signing Derrick Henry. I think that the Ravens offense is going to be dangerous this season.
Did Marley say heavy hands? Heavy hands. I think someone's, once said that about Nick Vate. Nick, any thoughts on the pick?
I mean, I coming from a Steelers fan, like you just brought in Derrick Henry and now you're adding to that offensive line. I mean, again, it's just another, young player that you're throwing in there that's going to just make it that much more difficult to kind of stop the Ravens rushing attack. So again, I'm a big fan of going towards the defensive line there over maybe the offensive line over grabbing another wide receiver. So I think it's a solid pick for the Baltimore Ravens there.
Well, and with that, we are down. We're down to the last two picks. The last two picks of the first round. Number 31 pick coming from the San Francisco 49ers, and they are selecting Johnny Newton, defensive lineman from Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers are a team. I'll be honest, I don't really know what they're going to do here. I think that they could go in a lot of different directions. But again, I'm kind of going back to two things. Build through the trenches, and I also have Johnny Newton as next up on my big board for this team. It's interesting. The 49ers didn't bring in a lot of the big first-round names that you'd expect for top 30 visits. So there's kind of not a lot to go off of as to what they're maybe targeting here. But Johnny Newton's a guy who's been super disruptive at Illinois, rushing from the inside. And the 49ers also lost Eric Armstead this offseason. They couldn't come to an agreement on a contract. So that John Lynch loves to kind of build up that defensive line, and they do that here with Johnny Newton.
If he falls to 31, this could be the steal of the draft.
Very possibly.
I had this guy around 20, 25 in that range. So the 49ers get him at 31. That's sensational.
And months ago during the season, he was talked about as potentially being a top 15, top 10 pick. And he's fallen for a number of different reasons, but here it could definitely be a solid grab.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic.
Does that mean we have it? We have the last pick of the first round of the 2024 mock draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select with the number 32 pick, wide receiver Adonai Mitchell from Texas.
I mean, the pick is obvious here. The Chiefs, they need receiver talent, and all the stuff with Rashee Rice. Nobody really knows what's going on with him right now. Adonai Mitchell is the best receiver on the board here. He has the perfect size for a great wide receiver, and it scares me what the Chiefs are going to end up doing with this guy.
I'm not against this pick, but seeing how far he fell already, I mean, is it entirely possible that the Chiefs could have potentially waited for a later round, to potentially scoop him? Again, I understand there's a lot of wide receiver needy teams out there that could potentially take a guy like him in the second round, which is why I appreciate you going out and getting him, because the Chiefs definitely need a receiver. But again, I feel like that maybe the Chiefs could have waited just a little bit more, maybe traded up early into the second. But again, we'll see what they do come draft day tomorrow. But again, I'm not upset about the pick.
Yeah, no one knows what the Chiefs are going to do, and they need a receiver. That's why I made the pick.
Dude, they turn dirt to gold at the receiver. So I mean, they could realistically do anything as long as Patrick Mahomes is there.
To a degree, it's a little bit of a luxury pick here for them too.
Mhm.
I mean, whenever you're selecting this late in the first round, you're a good squad. They're coming off back-to-back Super Bowls. So if they are comfortable with Mitchell and they see him as one of the best players available here, they go and grab him.
I probably go Worthy over Mitchell, but I like the position going wide receiver. Same team, just different player. I think Worthy, the difference between Worthy and Mitchell is speed, and I think that's what the Chiefs need. In terms of Mitchell, he's got a better catch radius than Worthy, but overall, I think it's a fine pick. I'm just glad we're done, man. First round is officially over, and have a night, man. What a day.
I mean, with that, I'm just kind of curious, right? We saw a lot of picks, 32 teams, 32 picks. Any early responses as to who won the draft on draft night? I'd love to know from each of you maybe who you think won this draft tonight.
49ers. I think getting Newton at 31 is huge.
Okay.
I feel like the Eagles trading up and getting Quinyon Mitchell is a great pick.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I loved it when I did that because I think they jumped right in front of some cornerback needy teams. It's the one gaping hole on their roster. And to me, it's also potentially the best defensive player in the draft. They had an extra second-round pick they could part with. I think if they're able to do this tomorrow and get that player and trade up in that sort of manner, I don't know what degree it's going to be. I think it would be a home run for them. Absolutely.
I find it hard to not say the Chicago Bears. They got 2 premier talents at 2 big positions of need for that organization. It's hard to argue against that.
Exciting stuff. I guess we'll see what happens.
Who would you say, since we're here, what would you say is the best general manager that we've had today?
I think the commissioner needs to be a little unbiased here.
Well, I think we're at the end of the draft. I think it's time to, figure out who is the best, because I think we have our own opinions, but I did not win the draft.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought you were going to say you won the draft.
No, I think someone else won the draft.
No, I was going to say, I think if you're really asking for my unbiased opinion, there's one man on this draft board of the 4 of you who decided to choose a lot of Alabama players, and Derek, because of that.
Let's go, baby!
I believe Derek won the draft.
Baby.
Again, I'm completely unbiased. And I'm really curious to see which one of these teams. Maybe this takes a team to a Super Bowl. Maybe it takes them to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So with that being said, thank you all for joining us tonight. Any final thoughts from anybody?
All right, let's just get everybody in here.
All right. Everyone.
Let's just get everybody in here.
Derek, it's 3,000 degrees in here already. You want to get everyone in here now?
Why not, man? Why not?
All right.
Who else is going to be?
Just bring it. Come on. No, it's just us.
Yeah,
just us.
Everybody, come in here.
Get in here. Come on, we don't bite.
There we go. Come
Round 1.
Now the next 6.
6 more to go, baby.
We're doing round 2 tomorrow.
Round 2 tomorrow.
See you later.
Round 1. Done.
When I'm Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go.
Of course.
Can you take me higher to a place where light might see? Can you take me higher to a place where gold is free? Although I like a world of change, it helps me to appreciate those nights and those dreams. But my friend